All right, so when sequels come out to a movie series, you think they would be better than the last one, right? You have hopes that the second one will be better than the first one, and hopefully the third one can bring it all together and be better than both of them. And then you have Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which took that idea and just threw it out the window. Now look, I'm not saying this is a bad movie, right? This is a sequel to the first two, and it's been, what, 8 years, almost 10 years, I don't know, since the second one came out. And so as fans of the franchise, I think we're excited. We want to see what happens and how this movie can add to the last two. The problem is they're doing what every movie does nowadays, which is if you have a franchise that's been kind of old, you bring back the characters, but then you have a younger generation of people in the movie that you're going to prop up. They're the new faces. You're trying to do that, and that's what this movie tried to do. And the story is really simple. It's just the Horsemen, they're coming back because the new gen basically pulled them out of retirement, and they're trying to do basically a bank heist. Now look, the director for this movie is Robin Fleischer, however you say his name. And he's done movies like Venom or Zombieland, so you kind of have an idea of what you're expecting. Not to mention the cast, is just the returning members along with some new people and then a new villain. Along with that, the budget is around $90 million. For a movie like this, I think it can break even or at least get its money back. Just because the name itself, third movie in a franchise, hopefully you can bring in the money. And for the runtime, it's 1 hour and 52 minutes. And right now it has a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.2 on IMDb. So again, some mixed reviews. But like I was saying, man, like this movie, I went in with some high hopes and I kind of was disappointed. Like honestly, because they just try and force this younger generation to take over the mantle. I don't know why these studios do that. Like we come to see the main members. We don't want to see these little kids, doing magic tricks. I want to see Jack. I want to see Atlas. I want to see them doing the tricks, not these little kids. Get them out of here. Get their own series, right? Not saying they're bad. It's just you want to see the other people instead. Because it's not a Now You See Me movie without the Horsemen. And so waiting for them to get on board, to get on the screen, you're just sitting there waiting. You're like, what is this plot? They're kind of explaining it. It's just kind of boring. Not saying the story itself was bad. It's just the lead up. To me, it took a little too long. And then when they do meet, of course, they do the trend where, yeah, the new young kid can outsmart Jack, the older dude. Really? Like, how? Stuff like that, it's like, why? Like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of having the new gen one up the OG? And not only that, I think the story, like where it went at the end of it, the reveal of, what ended up happening, I don't know. It was kind of, when I saw the reveal, I was like, really? You're going to have that character as the main character, like the reveal about it, the person behind it. I was like, okay, like, and even the villain, like she was just generic, just rich, right? They're evil because they're rich. I don't know. She was evil, right? She did have a reason, but she was rich. So, but I don't know, guys. I think this series is repetitive. They do the same thing just about in every single movie. As an audience member, you're trying to see how they're piecing together the story, but for them it's just basically they're robbing banks or they're stealing money from the rich and trying to give it to the poor, Robin Hood in a way. That's the same trope for all three movies, which I'm not saying is good or bad, I'm just saying, right? But not everything was bad in here. When the Horsemen were actually putting in work, flowing together, man, those are the best moments when they're working together, even with the new gen, all of them at the same time, trying to come up with plans of how they're going to solve basically the problem. Like, for example, the scene where they're trapped, that's a good scene right there. And stuff like that made the movie worthwhile. That's who we came to see, not some kid who knows how to pick a lock better than Jack. But there was maybe a couple emotional scenes in here with some legacy characters, and just those scenes, I mean, they're supposed to hit hard, but they're kind of rushed in a way, so that's another negative, I guess. But not saying it's a bad movie, I'm just saying it's not as good. And if you're a fan of the franchise, I think you'll enjoy it by the end of it. But it could have been better, and I think if they would have focused on the main characters instead of the new characters, it probably would have been much better. But guys, if I had to rank this, I'd give it a salty popcorn. I think if you go, you will still enjoy the movie because it does pick up, towards the middle of the movie or 30-40% in, it starts picking up and it starts getting entertaining. But honestly, you don't need to go to the movies for it. But guys, those are my thoughts. Comment below if you've seen this and what your thoughts are. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.